Good evening, and welcome to Direct Impact Broadcasting, the station of growth and transformation. Affiliate of Creative Broadcasting presents Leadership Tidbits with Coach T. Wilson, with your host, Tawana Wilson, as she welcomes her guest to the studio.
Welcome to Leadership Tidbits with Coach T. Wilson. I am your host, Tawana Wilson. A little bit about myself. I am your award-winning leadership maven, medical laboratory sciences by background, best-selling author, founder and CEO of Trendy Elite Media Group and Trendy Elite Coaching and Consulting Services, executive director with the John Maxwell team, Maxwell Disc Certified Consultant, and co-owner of Direct Impact Broadcasting Network. Before we bring on my special guest, I want to share a few announcements. I am booking guests for this podcast through the remainder of 2020. So if you have a leadership message that you want to share that you know the listening audience will gain valuable insight from, you can go on and submit your interest at directimpactbroadcasting.com. You'll find a link at the top of the page that says Contact Us, and underneath there will be a link that says Leadership Tidbits with Coach T. Wilson. We have a new podcast on the network called Elaborate Topics, where it gives technical and leadership strategies for medical laboratory professionals inside and outside of the laboratory. So you can check that show out. New shows released on Tuesdays. So check that show out on Direct Impact Broadcasting. And here soon we will have a new health and fitness show. So check it out. Stay tuned. So tonight's special guest, Miss Bonita Owens. Bonita Owens is an inspirational speaker, women's empowerment coach, and founder of the Amazing Women Network. AWN was created for high-achieving women who are ready to move past self-doubt, uncertainty, and people-pleasing, and using their voice, own their power, and rise into their significance. Bonita has a BS degree in occupational therapy, and although she loved her career, she always knew that she was called to make an impact on a larger platform. In 2014, Bonita decided to pursue public speaking as her platform, and she also went on to become a certified professional coach in 2015. One of her career milestones was accomplished in 2018 by becoming a contributing author in the anthology Open Your Gifts, 42 Lessons on Finding and Embracing Your Blessings in Disguise with Kim Coles. Bonita is a military spouse of 18 years, and she has 2 adorable children. Good evening, Miss Bonita. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. How are you doing today?
I am doing well. I'm so excited to get you on here and talk about some of the amazing things that you are doing over at the Amazing Women Network. I know you have several books out, and you are just out here empowering women and doing a lot of great things. So I'm so excited to get you on to the show this evening to talk with you and see what you have for the listeners.
Awesome. I'm excited to share. Thank you for having me.
So, Bonita, let's jump right in. Can you share with the listeners a little bit about your leadership journey and how did you get to where you are today?
So, my leadership journey has always come from out of nowhere, I'm going to say. I was always a reluctant leader, and I discovered this not too long ago, that I have been put in situations throughout my journey, I've done ministry and even with my children's school, even in my former career as an occupational therapist. I found myself in leadership roles and not pursuing them. So I would say leadership found me, but I think one of the reasons why is because I was always looking to solve problems and make something better. So, I was a Girl Scout, And one of the tenets of Girl Scouts is you leave things better than you found it. And that has been, one of my desires. No matter where I go, when I see that something can be better or improved, I want to improve it. So I guess, opening my mouth and saying something, having opinion is how I really got into this leadership journey. And I've always been the type, when I go into a new place, I want to sit back and observe and, get the lay of the land first. And that's never happened to me. It seems like I'm always hitting the ground running. The next thing I know, I'm on the board of this or I'm ahead of that committee, and I didn't seek it out. It sought me out. So I think me really caring about my environment and making things better has been my road to leadership.
That's awesome. The reluctant leader, I like that, because it seems like it does happen like that sometimes, where when you have a passion to serve and just want to leave things better than the way you found it, you are often moved to the forefront. So I can believe that you were on boards and doing all kind of leadership roles that you didn't set forth to do.
Yes. And I used to be very afraid of it, because what I thought a leader should be, I thought, oh, my gosh, I don't want to be a leader. What does that mean? Does that mean I have to know it all? Does that mean I can't make mistakes? So I was fearful. I had a lot of fear around the word leadership in times past. And it's definitely been a growth process and a road. And once I embraced it and understood what leadership is and is not, it really freed me to own my leadership abilities.
Absolutely, and I'm sure many of the listeners can relate to that too, because even when I talk with young people and I ask, are you all leaders? Do you consider yourself a leader? And there's something about that word that they like, maybe not. And so I like that you mentioned, once you figured out what that meant for you, you could embrace it and move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Bonita, good leaders often ask great questions. They're just very inquisitive in general. What has been some of the best questions you feel like you've been able to ask that has been really pivotal in your life and in your career?
Well, I would say one of the most important questions that I like to ask other leaders is what are your biggest struggles? I think, with leadership, we focus on people's accolades and their accomplishments, and which is important and good, but I find that I learn more about what the struggles are, because one, it puts a level of normalcy in failure and not being perfect. So I have dealt with, and still I can say I licked it, perfectionism. So with me being able to ask someone, what are your biggest struggles? That makes me feel comfortable to say, wow, this person has all these accolades, and yet there's a human aspect, right? They still have things they have to fight through. And that has been pivotal for me, because it's like, wow, okay, I'm normal. And if they did it and they were able to, especially if they've dealt with the same things, I think a lot of times we think that leaders, and they've made a lot of accomplishments, maybe that means they never deal with fear or they never deal with self-doubt. And that has been a real eye-opener for me to ask that question, because it's like, wow, you see these people who've made all these accomplishments, and yet they go through the same things that people who are starting out in their leadership journey or at the middle of their leadership journey. Even if you're at the pinnacle, it doesn't mean that those things necessarily go away. You just learn how to manage them better. And another one is, I like to know, what are your biggest lessons? I think because I'm a teacher at heart, and so I'm also a learner. So I love to hear what others leaders, their biggest lessons are, and it has really helped me to grab hold of those lessons and apply them to my own life?
Those are two great questions and two great examples. And I'm happy that you mentioned that about what is your biggest struggle, because you're right. People, sometimes they look at people and say they got it all. They're very successful. They got all these accolades and credentials and, everything seems to be going well. But, what you don't see is you don't see the struggle. You don't see the fears. You don't see the failures. And I think it's important that we ask those questions, especially as we aim to empower women, empower the next generation of leaders, that they have to know that everybody's human. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has failures. That's the part of the process, part of life.
Yeah.
So speaking of
sure.
I think it's important for us to talk about it. So speaking of failures, what has been one of your failures that you've exhibited in your life or in your business that you've had, and the lesson that you learned from it? Because like you said, with every failure, opportunity, or mistake comes a lesson or opportunity for growth.
Yeah. I would say one of my biggest failures is not listening to my intuition. And I say that because even before I started my journey into inspirational speaking and coaching women, I was in my career and I had 2 small children, and I just knew that I was called for something more. And I felt that. However, I listened to someone who was older than me and who I revered, as being an example of accomplishment. And she told me that I needed to wait until my children were out of the house until I pursued anything that I desired. And although that was not something that I felt, I lended her voice, her opinion. I gave up my own opinion for hers. And I did that for five years. I listened to that opinion. And once I realized that, wait a minute, that's her truth. That is not my truth. And my kids were 2 and 3 at the time that she said this, no doubt. So I thought, oh, my gosh, I've got to wait a whole lifetime almost in order to pursue what is important to me. And so once I came to that revelation that everybody has a truth, and we can pick and choose what truths we want to embrace for our own or that aligns with our own, and which ones do not. And I think a lot of times we tend to quickly embrace people's opinions that we deem as, an expert or successful or a leader. They've had a lot of accomplishments. And if you grew up like me, where you taught always listen to authority, since she was an authority figure in my mind, I listened. And so what I have learned is my intuition, my gut should be the loudest and the most important, and that we look around and we take what we need, and if it's aligned with who we are and who we want to be, great. And if it's not, we don't necessarily need to look at the messenger and judge the opinions by the messenger as always being right. So I've learned to question more from that experience. I've learned to say, okay, I hear you, and I'm going this way, and being okay with going my own way, and whatever the consequences and results come from going my own way after, weighing my options, being okay with that, and knowing that, hey, even if I fail, even if I fall on my face going my own way, I'm still learning to listen to my own intuition, which is so very important. I think so many women have a difficult time listening to their own intuition.
Absolutely. I think that's valuable because you're right there. You know, sometimes, you know, you listen to people and they give you advice or expertise based off of their situation. And you have to know what's right for you. You know, I'm a recent new mom. My daughter is 9 months old, and I get tons of advice and tons of feedback. And that is one that I get that, you know, it's got to be about your daughter. You know, you got to, you know, basically you wait. And, you know, and right, it's all about hers and, you know, nothing about you. And so sometimes it do feel like it's like, well, is that how it is? Can I be a good mom and still, you know, do X, Y, and Z, or do I have to put it all on hold or whatever the case may be? So I think you are right. You have to do what's best for your situation and, you know, go with your gut. I think your gut always usually tells you the truth.
For sure. And so many women are faced with that dilemma, or faced with the pressures of society and telling us women, oh, your life's over now as you know it. You know, you got a child now and it's all about her. And I think that's one of my biggest passions is disrupting that notion and letting women know, listen, yes, you have this life that you are, you know, been chosen to take care of, and especially having a same-sex child, this is my revelation, was that when my daughter sees me take care of me, sees me pursuing my passion, then she has an in-house living example of what that looks like. And then therefore she knows how to do it for herself. And so many women, we pass this down and we watch our mothers give it all away and give over their dreams, and we never see what that looks like in our own home. So I'm glad you brought that up because that's a real big passion of mine.
Yeah, that's great that you are out here and you're telling women that, and you are giving them, you know, that expertise and confidence, you know, in that space to know, because, you know, you're right. You know, we have heard, I know growing up, I've heard, you know, it's about your kids, and, you know, and you're right. If you don't see it at home and you feel like that, you do have to put your life on the back burner and no self-care and everything else that, you know, your grandmother or great-grandmother or whoever might have went through and kind of instilled in you or told you. You kind of have that playing in your mind as well.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Bonita, as leaders, we all come from different backgrounds. We all have our own unique, different strengths and different experiences. So what do you feel has been beneficial for you to thrive as a leader and be able to open up doors for you to open up your business and go on and work with women and give them what they need to be able to thrive?
Wow, I think one of the things for me is understanding my strengths and what I call my superpower. I think we all have a superpower, and we all have something that we really can focus on and to leverage and to use that in our personal and professional life. And I think a lot of times it comes naturally in our personal life, and we don't really know how to translate it or think about how to translate it into you know, our professional life or our businesses. So that for me is connection. Like I don't meet a stranger. I'm that person that has deep conversations on people on airplanes, and I did not understand that is a gift. Until probably last year, maybe, I thought, wow, wait a minute, because I think things that come naturally and easily to us, we assume everybody else operates the same way, and that's not necessarily true. And so being able to connect with people, not having a difficult time connecting with most people, in my personal life, I've been able to translate that, in my business. And, business is about relationships. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. And I've gotten a lot of opportunities just by striking up conversations with people, just organically, just by asking questions, just by being, open and friendly and, having an energy about me that people want to have a conversation and be around. So I've learned that about myself, and I've learned to leverage that in order to grow those relationships and to really be able to give value to women and the people that I wish to serve.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I'm so excited for you and all the wonderful things that you're doing with the women that you serve and with your organization. You want to tell the listeners a little bit more about what you are doing over at Amazing Women Network?
Yeah, so the Amazing Women Network is, really about the mission is to teach, encourage, and inspire women to be, do, and have all that they were created for. And I seek to specifically help women who are driven and successful, but yet, even though they've had some success, they feel like their job they don't fit them anymore, or they're just unfulfilled. They're drained. They are overwhelmed with all of life's demands, and what they're doing, whatever they've done up to now, it no longer fits who they are and who they want to be. So I really help women get that clarity that they need and that confidence to pivot. And maybe they want to start a business. Maybe they want to start a nonprofit. Maybe you just want to do another career, or maybe you want to elevate in your career. But there is a sense of overwhelm and discomfort and drain, that comes with all the things we deal with as women. So I am really passionate about really helping women just sort it all out, get clear on who they are, who they want to be, and what in your life is not working and you've been afraid to change, or you didn't know you can change, and what in your life is working that you need to do more of. So I really help women just, plan out that strategy, that roadmap, and I, help them get to another level where they're more peaceful and they can create a life that supports them financially and emotionally. Because I feel like we don't have to trade one for another, that we can all be doing something that really serves us as well as we're serving other people.
That's good. That's awesome. You are just doing some awesome things, Miss Bonita. You are. Because
I love what I do.
And you can tell. You can hear that passion, and I feel that passion, and that's important. And I know that, as you're working with your clients, I'm sure, some of them have had to, pivot, and they needed the confidence and clarity, but how did you kind of get to that place? I know you started out as an occupational therapist, and how did you kind of move from, kind of more of a structured environment to the entrepreneurial space where it's more creative, and having that clarity, having that confidence? How did, the tools to pivot, how were you able to make that move?
Well, one of the things is that I was really searching and asking questions, and I really had a light bulb moment, and was really like, okay, what is it? What is it I want to do? And I was actually at a business conference, and there's a person at the stage, and I was just kind of in a moment, and I asked myself an important question. I was in the zone, and I was soaking up whatever they were saying, and it was just about the moment that was going on. And I asked myself, why do I love this so much? And I had never asked myself questions like that before. And when I asked myself that question, it was just like it was kind of like a flower opened up and bloomed. And I realized that, wow, that I was really into the person on stage, because that was a reflection of me. I've always been a public speaker. I've always, been comfortable speaking in front of people ever since I was a little girl. And I did not see myself, though, as doing it as a profession. And when I realized, I really had a flashback moment. And when I'm like, oh, wow, you've been doing this since you were a little girl, and you've always spoken in, different, in college and in churches and just everywhere you've gone. I realized I've really been comfortable speaking in front of people, and I've always been into personal development for myself. And I've always been that friend that would share with my friends who came with me. We're talking about a problem, and I would say, "Oh wow, well I just read this," or I just saw this video," and I would share the tidbits that I learned, and they would be blessed by it, and they would be encouraged by it. So I realized that, wow, this is who I am. So when I understood who I always was, I was thinking I needed to be somebody different and do something different, but I realized that I had those gifts inside of me all the time, and I overlooked them. And again, because our gifts come easily to us, so we assume that it's easy to everybody else. And once I discovered that just set me on a path and a journey to step into who I already am, and how do I then create a business around that. And so I realized, wait a minute, there are other women like me. There are other women like me who've given it all away, who's focused on, on their family, and they felt like they needed to just put their goals and, dreams on the back burner. And I'm sure there are other women who are looking for something more and different just like me. So that's kind of what started me on the journey to think, wow, I know I'm not alone, and I've talked to other women the same. And I decided this is what I want to do. And I knew that, being in a business, I love what I did with helping people in healthcare, but that wasn't my sweet spot. That wasn't it for me. And so ever since I've been on this journey, even though it has not been easy, even though, things have not always gone as planned, when you do what you love, it's always worth it. And I feel like other women deserve to feel the same way, and they desire to feel the same way. So that is my biggest thing with searching, going inward and searching, and really getting quiet. So self-care is so important to me, and I feel that a lot of times we can't hear because we're so busy. What I say we in our society, we wear the busy badge. And so women, we hit the ground running, we get up, running around and doing all this, and we go to bed. And I used to be so stressed like that and torn in different ways. But when I learned how to get a self-care routine that allowed me to be quiet, that allowed me to pour into myself, it really helped me to find more of the answers that I needed. And I had a coach as well. So I realized how important and powerful having a coach can be to have that support and to help you bring those things out of yourself that you don't even know that are there. So I wanted to be that for somebody else as well.
That's awesome. You touched on so many great things there. You touched on growth and how you were intentional about your growth. What do you do for your professional development? I know you said you went to conferences, but what would you suggest for any of our emerging leaders or anybody who's just looking for an opportunity to grow, but they don't want to do formal education, not really interested in going back, to get a degree or anything like that? Maybe they've been there, done that. But what do you do, or what books are you reading?
Okay, yeah. So I would say the main foundation of my personal growth is reading. I love to read, and I read books just a gamut of books, personal growth as well as business. So some of the ones, if anybody who's in a business, who wants to be in a business, this one book I'm going to share is kind of a recent book, and I'm like, man, I wish I had read this at the very beginning. It's The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, and that is a book that really talks about the different aspects of being a solopreneur and an entrepreneur and all of the hats that we wear, and how to get clear on what hat you need to wear when, and really what business is all about. So that's a powerful book. And I would say Never Eat Alone by Keith Barrazi. That's another powerful book, and it talks about building relationships and networking. Like the saying goes, your network is your net worth. And so it really teaches you about being intentional about building relationships. And so another personal book that I love is A Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes. And that is an amazing book, and how she just talks about she decided to just say yes to more things, to say yes to every opportunity. And a lot of times as women, we don't say yes to opportunities because we always feel we're not ready, or we're afraid of failing, or, we want things to be perfect before we go for opportunities. I know that I've dealt with this myself. And so that's a really, really good book, inspirational book about saying yes to opportunity and how we grow more when we say yes. I can give a whole bunch. I'm a big reader, but I think reading is very, very important. That's what I do. I listen to podcasts. I watch videos. But one of the things I do for my self-care that has changed my life that I want to share is meditation. And that really opened the door a lot for me about getting clarity. And and it's really, a lot of people misread what meditation is. And it's powerful, and you can do it as little as 5 minutes a day is what I tell people. I tell women specifically. And it's really about spending that first part of your day being quiet, breathing, not not checking your cell phone the first thing in the morning, your emails or your texts, but using those first few minutes for you and just to get quiet and centered, so that you can think more clearly and you can be more calm when you go throughout your day. And I used to go with having tension in my chest and feeling stressed all the time, thinking that was a normal way of life. But when I started meditating, it really changed, where my outer circumstances didn't change, but my inner peace, my inner circumstances definitely changed, and I did not feel those stress levels. And what people don't understand, I think, or take seriously, is how stress leads to so many health issues, so many diseases are stress is a precursor for. So I think, we as women, leaders and career women, we really need to take stress and stress management seriously, and taking care of ourselves, and realizing that when we take care of ourselves, it gives us the energy to continue to serve all the people in our lives that we care about.
Absolutely. That is great advice, because in a time where we're asked to do more and be more and just do it all, we definitely have to take those few minutes to get ourselves centered, because as they always say, you should be putting your mask on first before you are out here trying to be superwoman or superman for anybody else. And so I think that's great. That's great information. And it doesn't take long at all, like you said, anywhere from 5 minutes or longer, or whatever you feel for you, but just take that time to get centered and get clarity. That's awesome. You talked a little bit about having a coach a little bit earlier in the discussion. And some people, they're like, okay, do I need a coach? Do I need a mentor? What do a coach do? Why do you think there's value in having a coach?
Oh, my gosh. I think there's so much value in having a coach, because coaches, and unfortunately, some people call themselves coaches that aren't coaches. So, I'm not going to get on that box, but I'm just saying that to me, a coach, because there's a difference between a coaching and consulting, right? And I think sometimes consultants call themselves coaches, and I think there's some nuances there. And you can be both, like you are, coach and consultant. But I think it's important to have a coach because a coach can really help pull things out that you haven't thought of. A lot of times what I see, and Les Brown says you can't see the picture if you're in the frame. And when I talk to women and they have this pattern of behavior and they keep running into the same, problems over and over again, the same struggles, the same setbacks, and they're like, I don't understand what's going on with me. And I can see it so clearly. I can see the pattern so clearly. And to be able to ask those empowering questions and to help you to think about what's behind what's going on and to help you come up with those answers. Because a lot of times we're just so bogged down with all the things. We feel like, oh, my gosh, I don't know what to do, this and that. And having that coach to help you be centered, help you be calm and pull those things out of you that you've never thought of is so powerful. And as well, presenting principles to you that you never thought of. So it's like having someone there to help pull out the best in you, having someone there to hold you accountable. We all need accountability. That's one of the tenets of leadership, I believe, is accountability. And having that person to go along the journey with you. And it can't be a friend and it can't be family because friends and family see us differently. And that's another thing I think people think, well, I don't need that. I can just talk to my friends and family. And you're biased as friends and family. Either they're going to tell you everything good about yourself or they're going to tell you everything bad. So we need having a coach is somebody who's objective, who doesn't have any skin in the game, doesn't have an agenda, and can really see you more objectively and help you, help you with those strategies to get over those pitfalls, things that are holding you back, and help you see the strengths in yourself that you may be overlooking. I think one of the big things I do is around just mindset and energy and helping women to shift their mindset around certain things that have held them back.
Absolutely. I love that. Yes, your family, you're right. They either going to tell you the good or they're going to tell you the bad, but you definitely need that coach or that person who's going to be honest with you, and they're going to be objective. They don't have anything to gain. So they want you to win. They want you to succeed. They want you to become unstuck. They want you to become unstoppable. They want you to move forward. So I think that is very powerful and, reasons why you need to have a coach. Bonita, when you think back over your journey and you think, man, I wish I would have known X, what advice would you give to your younger self starting out on this journey, or, listen to that advice that somebody gave you that you had to put your life on hold? What is that thing that you would have been like, wow, I wish I would have known this when I started out on this journey?
I wish I would have known. I'm going to kind of come back to what I alluded to earlier. I wish I would have known that I really had everything I needed already inside of me to do what I needed to do. I wish I would have known that my instinct, my spirit can lead me to where I need to go, and that I did not need a rescuer. I heard someone say the other day that your rescuer, where there's a rescuer, there's an oppressor. And I was at a situation early in my journey where I thought, I don't know anything. I don't know what I need to know. I need to know more. I need someone to rescue me. I need somebody to teach me and tell me, and I really didn't. that was just fear talking. That was just insecurity talking. That was just me feeling like I wasn't prepared and I needed to know more and read more and do more. And I wish I had known you don't have to, and I don't get me wrong, I needed to learn things, but I think sometimes we feel that we need somebody to tell us everything and tell us, every single thing. And I didn't need all of that. I didn't need as much as I thought I needed. I think I wish I had known to some things, you just got to do it. In order to know what to do, you just got to do it. And so I know that now that, hey, I just got to take a step, and more answers will come once I take the first step. So, yeah.
That's good. That's good. I wish I would have known that I didn't need a rescuer. And that's powerful right there, because sometimes we do feel like that, like I'm not prepared, I'm not ready, I'm nervous, I'm scared, and all of those things get into our mind, and what happens? We don't do nothing. We don't act because we're so afraid. We are waiting for that person to come and give us that, that shining star that, it's okay. And I think that's powerful, that everything that you need really resides inside of you. And I believe that to be true as well.
Yeah, for sure. I always say that if it's in your desire to do, that's because you have the ability to do it. And I like to say, I have no desire to be a rocket scientist because it's not in me. And so whatever you have the desire to do, that's because you have the ability to make it happen. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So, Ms. Bonita, how can the listeners stay connected with you? How can they continue to follow you on your journey and just, know more about you, learn more about what you do, and to read your book?
Yes. So I am on many social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn under Amazing Women Network. And you can get my book. The title of the book is called Who Stole My Significance? Who Stole My Significance? And it is on Amazon. If you go to, I have a bit.ly link that'll take you right there. It's bit.ly/Bonita's book, and it's all lowercase, bit.ly/Bonita, BONITAS, no apostrophe, book, BOOK. And it'll take you straight to the Amazon link. And so I'm always doing videos on Facebook. I do some on Instagram if anybody wants more inspiration and inspire encouragement. And I do tips and all of that. And also I want to offer your listeners a free gift. We talked about self-care, and I talked about how that is such a passion of mine. And so I just have just a little thing it's a self-care guide, and it just gives you some tips and tools and the things to some think about. I talk about the guided meditation in there, but just 3 simple ways that you can begin to take care of yourself. And to get that, you could go to bit.ly/AWN care, and that's AWN, capital AWN, CARE, bit.ly/AWN for Amazing Women Network, CARE, AWN care, and you can get that free self-care guide.
Awesome. I love it when the guests come and they bring gifts for our listeners. So that is awesome. So make sure, listener audience, you check out Ms. Bonita Owens on your favorite social media platform. She's on there. I have caught some of her videos. She's giving tips. She's going live. So make sure that you go and check her out. You can hear the passion in her voice. She really has a passion to serve and give tips, and she's all about the self-care. So, Ms. Bonita, before we wrap up today, what would be your final few tidbits that you would like to leave the listener audience with?
I would say that especially in this time we are now in COVID-19, if there is anything in your heart to do and you've been putting it off, or you feel like you're not ready, or you feel like you need a perfect time, I want to encourage you to put that away and to know that once you make a step, one step, the following steps will be illuminated. You'll see what to do next. So just do it. This is the time to reflect. This is the time to pivot. This is the time to start to be, do, and have all that you were created for. So don't put it off. Start today.
Awesome. Well, that is awesome information that you left the listeners with. There's no better day than today, so you might as well get started and put one foot in front of the other and go for it. So thank you so much, Ms. Bonita Owens, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to give me the opportunity to interview you. This was fun. I definitely had fun. I know I had fun speaking with you, and you made me put some things into perspective, especially with how I start my day and getting my day centered, and making sure that I take that time out for me, because I have to be good for me before I could be good for my family. And so I really appreciate you sharing everything that you shared with us.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Tawana. This is wonderful to be able to share, and I really hope that your listeners get a lot of value out of our conversation.
Absolutely. I am sure that they will. So thank you so much, and many blessings and continued success on your journey and with all of the women that you are helping.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
So thank you, listening audience, for tuning in to tonight's show with my special guest, Ms. Bonita Owens, where she shared with us that we definitely want to leave things better than we found them. There are some very important questions you can ask. Asking questions like, what is your biggest struggle, or what are your biggest lessons? Make sure that you listen to your intuition. As you heard before, your intuition, your gut, it's usually right. Learn to question more and being okay with the way that you're going on your own. Make sure you have that confidence, clarity, and tools to pivot. And if you don't feel that you have it, coaches can help you get there. Coaches can help you get to the next level. Understand who you are and the gifts that you have. Self-care is critical. Is very, very important. If you are into reading books, a few books that you can take away is The E-Myth, Never Eat Alone, and The Year of Yes. So those are just a few books that you can look into. If you have not tried meditation, it's a powerful tool for clarity. You don't even need a lot of time. If you have 5 minutes or longer, then start with that. And then to wrap up, you have everything that you need inside of you. So you don't have to look any further. Everything that you need is inside of you. You just need to take the step to move forward. So if you like what you heard tonight and want to listen to previous shows, you can subscribe at directimpactbroadcasting.com. If you're thinking about starting your own podcast, I would love to have your show on our network with our other amazing shows. You can send an email to info@directimpactbroadcasting.com, or you can go on to the platform and submit a form on the website. And tune in next week to hear from another amazing leader. Until then, have a good evening.
Thank you, friends, for tuning in to another episode of Leadership Tidbits with Coach T. Wilson, where Tawana speaks with leaders who share nuggets of wisdom that you can use in your personal and professional life. Follow her on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Coach T. Wilson. Connect on LinkedIn or visit www.coachtwilson.com. And remember, in life, learn as much as you can, appreciate often, and lead fearlessly.